Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to Phatkat Collections. I'm really pretty excited to share with you guys this next product. This is some fragrances, but this by a company goes by name Perfume Parlour, and they're a United Kingdom. You can Google map them. They have an actual store, and I believe they sell all kinds of fragrances, but they do basically clones of more expensive counterparts, kind of like Alexandria fragrances. So I just want to thank this gentleman named Ian. He reached out to me back in August and said twice a year he likes to pick a channel that he frequently watches and send sort of like a package, right? So I don't accept any kind of items or gifts from people that go on the skin that you eat. So I said, hey, you know, I really appreciate that, but in today's day and age, I just don't accept, you know, items like that where you actually got to put it on the skin just for, you know, security reasons. You just never know nowadays. But I did say, hey, he basically wanted me to review this company, right? And so he was generous enough to actually decide to PayPal me the money. And I went ahead and bought one of their 5-pack sample kits. First off, pretty awesome company. If there's a fragrance that you're looking for, chances are they have their own rendition of it. Now, full disclosure here, I don't know what any of these fragrances smell like. So I don't know what their more expensive counterpart, if this is close or not. Basically what I did is I picked a couple fragrances that I know are harder to find clones of, and I picked ones that might, I guess, that I've been wanting to add to my collection to get my nose on. Now, I don't live in an area where I can go to a mall and like experience any of these niche fragrances, and I'm not much of a social dude anyway, so if there ever was a fragrance show, I probably wouldn't go. I just don't really like being around crowds. And so this is kind of a great opportunity for me to check out some fragrances that I probably will never get my nose on. Now, the good thing about blind buying for me is that there's really nothing, or very rarely is there a fragrance that I get my nose on that I'm just not going to wear, right? I have well over 300 fragrances, and I tend to wear them all, you know, and I go through waves, or some are more my favorite than others. But the ones I picked out, I'm just going to read them off to you. And again, I just want to thank Ian for his generosity and give my 2 cents on it. Now, I think the most important thing about this video is I'm not going to be able to tell you how close these are to the originals. But what I'm going to be able to tell you is, you know, what I think of the quality of the fragrance. Now, these are, I believe these are perfume extracts. Now, I was expecting like beast mode performance. And I'm a little disappointed to say that they're no different than really any other fragrance, you know. In all honesty, I feel like they're more like EDTs. I don't really feel like they're beast mode. Now, I do want to state that just because I said that shouldn't dissuade you if you're looking for really strong, you know, parfums or parfum extracts, right? Because I go nose blind really quickly, and I know this because like my folks are constantly like, "Woo, I can smell that cologne," right? And I will start off with one of these that I did get a compliment on, and I'm not one to get compliments ever. I don't know if it's just because I don't maybe look approachable, maybe I look like an asshole, maybe I'm repulsive. I don't believe that. I feel great about myself. But, you know, generally people don't come up to me. Maybe it's the location I live. When I used to work in an environment where I was surrounded by a lot more people, my coworkers that you build relations with know that you're into these things, watches, colognes, whatever, and they would always be like, you smell good, what are you wearing? But to kind of get an unsolicited comment or compliment, I hear all the time, like YouTubers are always like, and I, you know, oh man, I got it, you know, I got this compliment, I get this, I get that, and I don't know, man, it's pretty rare. I have to tell you that the only compliment that I've gotten wearing fragrances, and I wear fragrances heavy every single day, is the other day, right? And so that felt pretty good to get one. I'm not going to lie. It's always nice to, especially when it's a woman, right? You always want to get, you know, a woman's take. However, you should always do things based on what you like. And so the one I was wearing is Jubilation 25, and this is their take on that. And this is called Triumphing. It's Triumphing 0929. Now what I did is just wrote with a Sharpie what this is meant to replicate. And this was the one that, you know, I put on about 6 sprays, figuring, you know, you can't really smell it. I became nose blind, and I was working outside, and sure enough, like, this lady was like, ooh, you smell amazing. So even though I couldn't smell it and I was nose blind, it was still projecting off me pretty well. So this one here, I have to tell you, like, I hear of all the, you know, the hype about how great Jubilation 25 is, and all these ones here. There's lots of these fragrances that I kind of picked based on what, like, you know, Cubano has said about this fragrance, based on, like, I think I was watching Ode Erica. She was talking about this Xerjoff Monkey Special. And although all these fragrances are great, don't get me wrong, like, I still like them. I'm still enjoying wearing them. I think the quality is great. When some folks talk about, you know, synthetic, I usually think people say synthetic because they're smelling a lot of alcohol. I don't get with these. I really get a nice quality fragrance on this. I don't know, if they're using better quality ingredients or whatnot. I really can't give you, a really in-depth review of this stuff. But I think this is a great company if you want to get your hands on several fragrances for an affordable price. For $100, you get 5, and I think these are, what size are these? I think these are let me just go to their website here because, and forgive me, I'm just kind of winging it here like I always do. These are, let's see the sizes. Man, and they have car diffusers. Like, you can get these scents in all kinds of different, like, medias. I think these are 30 ml extract sprays. I think these are the 30s. And so you'd figure, God, they seem kind of small to be a 30, actually. Let me just see what I ordered here, because let me see what the bundle is. So what I ordered is an extract bundle. Okay, yeah, so I'm wrong. So this is the 5-unit extract bundle. So when you click the link in the description, you'll be able to pick each one of your fragrances with a drop-down menu. What I encourage you to do is, if you're going to order this way, is their website doesn't work all that great doing this. You have to enter them all in at the same time. Like, you can't kind of shop through, pick your selection, and kind of go back to the cart. So go through, figure out what you want, write down the number. And it's nice that they each have a name, but each have a reference number, 0929 for this one, which you can search for very easily, and you can add it to the drop-down menu. So if you decide to get a 5-pack like I did, go through the piece of paper, write down the ones you want to get. Then when you're ready to order, go order, put them in there. And so this here, I'm not going to go into the notes. I just want to go into, the quality. And I think, these are, so you get 15 mils. And I think this is a really great way for you to be able to add a bunch of fragrances to your collection. Because let's face it, these will last me years and years and years. I mean, when you have a big selection of cologne or fragrances in your collection, they'll last you years and years, right? You don't always wear the same thing every single day. Now, you are going to have, like, your favorites you might wear more often. But I think my point is that I think this company is giving you a lot of bang for your buck. And, of course, you could always find, like, if you were to look at value, right? You can look at a lot of these cologne brands like Armaf and, Fragrance World and all these brands you get on Amazon and eBay. And sure, if you've watched your favorite influencer and they've given you, their sign of approval on a certain fragrance, on how close it is to your original, whether you've smelled the original or not, right? Based on the notes, and you go to Fragrantica, you might say, hey, I love chocolate, I love coffee in a fragrance, and pick one. This is, again, a great way to try these out without breaking the bank. And of course, if you find one by like Armaf, you're going to get, you can pay $20, $25 and get a full 100 ml bottle, right? So that's obviously a better value. But if you want to spend $100 and get 5 different fragrances, you're still getting, what is that, 75 mils roughly? 15 times 30? Yeah, 75 mils of fragrance for $100. And that's kind of on, I guess, those kind of in line with price points of like designer fragrances. Again, if you have one that you really love, I'd say, get the one that you really love. You're going to get a full bottle, 100 ml. But if you're unsure and just want to add a few to your collection, this is a harder video to kind of film because I can't really tell you how close these are to the originals. I just tell you whether I like them or not. And I think the quality is good. I don't think that they're beast mode. I was a little disappointed. I really thought that these were going to be a lot stronger, but they're still not strong, right? And this is a fantastic fragrance. These, when I first sprayed them, I was like a little disappointed because I didn't know really what to expect with any of these. You hear a lot of people talk about Jubilation 25 and it's a niche brand. It's supposed to be amazing. And I was like, this is it. But after I've worn it a few times and kind of come back to it, it is a fantastic fragrance. It really is. The other one that I've worn more than all these is Grandness. This is $14.92. And this is a Louis Vuitton L'Immensité. I think I'm saying that right. And this is, you know, again, a very, definitely a more easier to wear fragrance. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's, I like it so much that I've been looking for a less expensive, you know, 100 ml Armaf or something in this fragrance, and I haven't been able to really find anything. I like to kind of stay in that $20 to $25 fragrance price. But this, again, it doesn't smell like synthetic at all. And I'm using the word synthetic to describe like watered down alcohol kind of blast that you get in, you know, some very inexpensive fragrances. But let's face it, nowadays, I mean, if you're into fragrances, you know that like that doesn't always mean that if you spend $20 you're going to get that. It really, I think there's a lot of fragrance collecting and wearing is it's so subjective. You really just have to kind of just take a gamble if you're going to blind buy stuff, right? Because you know, there's really nothing else you can do. Xerjoff Monkey Special. This is what Ode Erica was just going off about how like sexy it is. I have not been able to really fall in love with this one yet, but I mean the quality is definitely there on all these. I'd say honestly of all these, Xerjoff Monkey Special is probably my least favorite. And this one here, this is Mirror XLV. This is Reflection 45. So XLV, it's probably 45, right? You know, this one here, definitely more medicinal. I can't say that, and I only chose this because Cubano was saying how great it was. And I gotta tell you, this one I'm a little disappointed in. It just goes to show you, this is no disrespect to Cubano. It just goes to show you how subjective fragrance collecting is. The other one I chose, this is just on my own, Tragedy of Lord George by Penhaligon's. I worked with Penhaligon's back in the day. They sent me several samples. I have not worked with them since then. They make fantastic fragrances, very expensive. This is called Admiring. This is a very boozy, very masculine, kind of has like a very masculine kind of barbershop vibe, but not like you thinking like Neroli Portofino or anything like that. Like, and I'm sorry, I don't have, you know, all the notes listed here. This video is kind of introduce you to this brand, and just honestly to thank Ian for his generosity in not collaborating, just offering this amazing gift to get my take on it. I do find it flattering because I'm by far not a fragrance expert, not even close. Half the time I can't even ramble off what I'm fucking trying to say, especially today after I had like 2 energy drinks. I'm like, I'm just a little wired. But, you know, all joking aside, you know, I am always going to be myself when I'm reviewing this, and this is how I talk, and this is kind of how I describe fragrances. When I smell these, like, I can't pick up Jubilation, this, you know, Jubilation clone, and tell you, like, what I smell, like, ever. Like, I have to actually smell it, spray it on paper, you know, smell other fragrances that might have, like, a note in it, and I'm just not very good at this. And I really feel like a lot of fragrance reviewers really are just full of shit. I think at the end of the day, you don't know if you're going to like something until you actually get it. Because I've had fragrances that you look at the notes and you're like, oh man, I'm going to absolutely love this. And like, for instance, since I got you folks here, let me just go to Xerjoff Monkey Special. And so, Tommy Lamani Monkey Special. So this one here, the notes are rum, passion fruit, geranium, bergamot. We have patchouli, caramel, vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, ambergris, musk, rose, leather, cinnamon. You know, when I smell this, I can't pick out anything. So it's very difficult when you have all these different notes, because I feel like when it comes to fragrances, you're going to have a few notes that are predominant. And so one might say that you could duplicate a fragrance where you're going to get that vibe. Like, for instance, this has in the top notes rum, passion fruit, geranium, bergamot. Middle notes Singapore, patchouli. Like, you can't tell the difference between Singapore patchouli or just patchouli. Cinnamon, leather, Bulgarian rose. Base notes caramel, vanilla, tonka bean, sandalwood, labdanum, ambergris, and musk. When I smell this, let me just try again here. Like, I can't tell you shit. You know? Let me try another one here. Let me go to... But the point I was trying to make is, like, let's say you had another fragrance that like the original, right? Let's say you get another one like this one. Maybe it has, let's say the original one is heavy in the top note on rum, heavy on the middle notes of leather, and heavy in the base notes of vanilla. If you have those three, it's going to put you in the space of a different fragrance. Of course, side by side, you probably are not going to say, oh, this is meant to be 100% clone, but it's going to put you in that space. And all these different notes, they fade in time different, right? So it's not always going to stay, most fragrances don't stay linear. When I go to, let me just go to Tragedy of Lord George. This is more of a simple fragrance, right? So this one here is, we don't have top notes. We just have woody notes, brandy, tonka, and amber. So when I smell this, let me see if I can get anything out of it. Like, I just get like kind of like a, you know, like that powder they smack on your neck. If you've ever been to like an old school barber, where it's just like that grooming powder, that talcum powder. They take the little brush and bang. I remember as a kid, I'd go to like a standard barber, like these Italian guys, heavy accent, and this kind of reminds me of that. Like, I wouldn't really say this like, there is like sort of like that barbershop freshness to it, and I never would have thought that based on these notes. I would expect like this woody, like boozy fragrance. I just don't get that at all. So it just goes to show you, you just never know how notes are going to interact with one another and kind of create the end result, right? If that makes sense. But anyway, the point of the video is not to nitpick each one of these fragrances and tell you whether I think you should buy it or not. I think if you are in the market for a clone house, there's always Alexandria fragrances. They're fantastic as well. I think that, you know, if you want to go to Dollar Tree and get like a designer imposter, you're going to get a crummy quality fragrance, right? But it's 99 cents. If you want to get what I think is decent quality fragrances that are going to put you in the space of these fragrances, I'm sure this company, you know, I'm sure these fragrances are pretty close. It is not rocket science to kind of like backwards engineer or, you know, to recreate these based on the original creations. And as we see many times, there are folks who will tell you that, hey, I have the original and then I have this clone and they are 90% identical. Go to Fragrantica, some people tell you, oh, it's not even close. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you really just got to make up your own mind. And I think that for the price, for what you're getting, I think for what I can tell based on the quality that I'm smelling, you know, I think these are great. I think with any fragrance, to kind of level your expectations, moderate your expectations. Don't think because these are like parfum extracts that you're going to put on, you know, the Louis Vuitton cologne, and that's going to be as strong as the Jubilation 25 cologne or Reflection 45. Each note is going to have kind of a different, I guess, I don't want to say half-life, but each note in these is going to have, I guess, a different timeline on your skin. And there are just so many factors to determine what something's ultimately going to smell like. I can tell you that, you know, don't take it too seriously. If you like certain notes in a fragrance, you're probably going to like them. And, you know, don't forget about the fun of fragrance collecting. At least for me, I enjoy buying something and not really knowing what I'm going to get, and then kind of getting to know that fragrance. And then, you know, I do a shitty video on it and tell you, hey, you know, this is great, you know, buy it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really up to you. And I think if you are an open-minded collector of fragrances, then really, you know, anything you buy, you're probably going to like. The whole point of fragrances is not to smell shitty. It's always meant to smell good and smell unique and different. And there's just so many choices and options out there. I think this is a great house. I think if there was a fragrance that I found that there was not a clone of, and I absolutely wanted like a full bottle, but I didn't want to spend, you know, the full price for, you know, some of these fragrances like $300. You know, I would consider definitely using Perfume Parlors. Like, for instance, just to give you an idea on price here, if I just go to men's perfumes, and they do their own creations too. Let's see what they got here. Shop. Let me just go to Shop Men's Perfumes. And if we go to, and they'll tell you, what I like too, they'll tell you, like, if you browse through their website, they'll tell you, you know, what this is meant to emulate, right? So we have here's Aqua Phantom. This says here, similar to Phantom Elixir. So if you like that fragrance and you don't want to spend the money on it, you can get here, let's see the products. body wash. You can get hand lotion. If you want to get 100 ml spray, EDP, $38. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Now, that's the EDP spray. If you go down to a 60 ml extract, it's still $40. I can't confirm or deny how strong one's going to be over the other. Who knows if there is a difference? Only the company knows that. But I do think that $40 to duplicate a fragrance that you're probably not going to be able to find, like some of these really rare ones, I think is pretty cool. And I, again, really appreciate that Ian was generous enough to share this with me and, gift these fragrances to me. So thank you, Ian. If you guys have any questions about these, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, check out Perfume Parlour. I'll put the link in the description. And you guys have a great day and take care.